why is it that you find avoidance so attractive? Hi, I'm Amy and welcome back to my channel. I'm a certified attachment style coach and I help anxious attachers break the cycle of avoidant and emotionally unavailable partners so that you can thrive in your independence and prevent future heartbreak. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about why it is that we anxious attachers find avoidance so attractive. And you might have said to people in the past, I just keep on attracting these emotionally unavailable people. And it might look like this. It might seem like you start dating someone, you discover that actually there isn't really much there beneath the surface in terms of emotional connection and intimacy. But I'm here to tell you that all is not what it seems. But if you're interested in what your attachment style is, I do have a free attachment style quiz linked in my bio. But thinking and believing that you attract avoidant partners isn't necessarily the most empowering thing that you can think. And also, it's not strictly true. And I used to think this too. I used to think, how have I managed to come out of a marriage and walk back into another long-term relationship with an avoidant person? There must be something about me that these people are drawn to, and that's just part of the story. And I want to cover the second part of this story in this video. In order to do that, I need to talk about what happens when anxious meets avoidant. So what's at the root of both of these attachment styles is actually a pervasive fear of abandonment. It just manifests in different ways. So both have the same fear, but the anxious attached tends to want to bring people closer and gain the proximity so that they feel safe. By doing this, they feel like this person's less likely to abandon them. So they want control over the situation. Now with avoidance, even though they have this very same fear of abandonment, what they do is they push people away. And the way that they do this is by having super impenetrable boundaries, by not discussing intimate issues, by avoiding conflict, and essentially not allowing people to get too close to them, because if they're abandoned, that's going to really hurt. So you can see how both attachment styles have exactly the same core wound. They just cope with it in different ways. If you can cast your mind back to when you met this person, it would have felt special. It would have felt like fireworks. It would have felt like, oh my gosh, I finally met someone who gets me. And this is because the avoidant shows up so well at the start of a relationship and in the dating phase. And so does the anxious attacher, because the anxious attacher will be super present. They will want to know everything about this person. They will ask the right questions. And they'll also talk about their feelings. They're incredibly honest. And the avoidant will find this really attractive. And likewise, the anxious attacher will find the avoidant stoicism attractive. So you can see how both attachment styles are initially drawn together because they both have traits that the other party admires. That is how anxious attachers attract avoidant partners in the first place. But this, as I said before, is only half of the story. If you're finding yourself in this very same situation, I've created a blueprint on how to actually heal your attachment style so that you can become more secure, really embrace your independence and prevent this from happening ever again. And I've helped clients the world over with this. If you jump onto my community tab, I have lots of testimonials there. I also offer a free 30-minute discovery call to check that we're a right fit. So if you want to book one of those, the link is in my bio. So I want you to think of this situation in a bit more of an empowered way. I don't want you to think of it as I've got no control over who I'm attracting. What I want you to do is think more about why am I attracted to that person? And you will be attracted to certain traits of that person. Yes, some people will look attractive, but how that person acts, what that person says, what their characteristics are, you will at some level find that attractive. And there is a big reason for this that most people don't see. And this is that on some level, their behavior is familiar to you. So let's take, for example, hot and cold behavior. The avoidant will blow hot and cold a lot of the time. So one day you're the best thing ever, the next day it's like you don't exist. And this is exactly what happened to me. And when I really looked into this and went back to my childhood, I noticed that my dad did exactly the same thing. So one day my dad would be super attentive, super present, and the next day it was like I was a burden and I didn't exist. My home life became really unstable emotionally because it was so unpredictable. But this actually became a subconscious comfort zone for me. I would be so familiar with hot and cold behavior that it was normal. So towards the beginning of this relationship with my avoidant, it didn't ring alarm bells. It was normal to me. I thought that this is just what people did. I didn't think that this was a problem. If I got into a relationship right now where I've done the healing, that would have been a red flag. The alarm bells would have absolutely gone off. So I would have addressed that issue with that person. But back then, I just didn't know any better. I thought that that's just what love was, that was just how men were, because I was conditioned to think that way from a really, really young age, that love was inconsistent, that it was there one day and not the next. Consistent love was a foreign concept to me. But not only that, I found that consistent love was particularly unsafe because it just wasn't natural to me. So if someone showed me consistent love, I would feel uncomfortable. If somebody didn't expect me to prove myself to them, that was uncomfortable and also really unattractive to me. And I remember before I met this ex, I went on quite a few dates with some really nice men who were completely stable. I found that strange that somebody wasn't expecting me to work hard to prove that I was worthy, because that was what I was so used to doing. And I bet you guys feel the same way as well. I bet when you've been in the relationship with the avoidant, you have bent over backwards to try and prove that you're worthy to this person, but it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because your self-worth was never the problem to begin with. Their behavior and what they see love as is the issue. Avoidants see intimacy and vulnerability as a weakness. They don't see it as something that can grow a relationship. They don't see it as something that can make a relationship stronger. And when it is that the anxious is trying to pull forward, the avoidance shame wound is triggered because they just don't feel like they're good enough for this relationship. And that isn't your fault. Patterns people tend to fall into is, I'm just going to work harder. I'm just going to try harder. I'm just going to shut up and not rock the boat and hope that this person comes closer. And it can become incredibly stressful. When you are investing in somebody that's not reciprocating that, it's soul destroying. The key really is to figure out where this pattern came from to begin with. What was your home life like when you were a child? Was it consistent? Were you only shown love when you'd achieved something? Did you have to act a certain way to get approval and acceptance in the home? When you did something wrong, these are the sort of things that you and I can look into, because this is really the seat of where your attachment style is formed. Your attachment style is formed as a survival mechanism when you're a child. And what we do if it's not healed is we take these patterns, these beliefs, these behaviors into our adult relationships, hoping that it's going to work, but it never does. You are never going to feel good enough for somebody who is not matching your efforts. You're never going to feel good enough for somebody who won't let you speak, express a need. But the first step is always self-acceptance. The first step is always being okay on your own and embracing your own independence and living your own life. So it's not so much that you're attracting these people, you're not powerless in this, it's more that you're drawn to them. When you can think about it that way, actually all of the power is in your hands because you can change that pattern. So I hope you found that video helpful. If you have any stories you want to share, drop them in the comments below. I do have a 6-week self-study course becoming available soon. If you want to keep updated with that, subscribe to this channel, but I will see you in the next video.